Tom was a man who never expected to see the stars up close. He had grown up on a small farm outside the human colony on Mars. His father had taught him that peace was harder than war, and that courage was not always about fighting but standing firm for what was right. Those words stayed with Tom through the years as he became part of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. When the Galactic Council finally opened its doors to humans, Tom was chosen to represent Earth as an ambassador to the alien world of Arelon. It was a chance no human had ever been given before. The journey to Arelon took several months through a network of jump gates. When the human ship exited the final gate, Tom looked out of the viewport and felt his breath catch. The planet shimmered like a jewel. Great silver clouds moved over seas of light green, and floating cities hovered above them, their crystal towers catching sunlight and scattering it in rainbow beams. It was beauty shaped by alien hands, precise and delicate. Tom straightened his uniform and tried to hide his nerves. The Arelian race was one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Their people were tall, graceful, and known for living centuries. They rarely welcomed outsiders and often looked down on younger species like humanity. Tom knew that one wrong word could ruin years of effort. When he arrived at the capital city, he was escorted by 2 Arelian guards who spoke in calm tones. Their eyes glowed faintly silver, and their movements were so smooth that they almost looked like they were gliding, rather than walking. The palace gates opened before him with no visible mechanism. Inside, everything shone softly. Walls appeared alive, flowing like water but solid when touched. The air carried a faint sweet scent that made him feel lighter. At the center of the palace was the Great Hall, where the Council of Arelon waited. Thousands of eyes watched as the lone human stepped forward. Tom bowed respectfully. He felt the weight of history pressing down on him. Every being in that hall represented an empire that had seen humans only as newcomers, a race still learning to walk among the stars. The council members began to speak in their melodic language, and the translation device at Tom's collar turned their words into his own tongue. They asked questions about Earth, about humanity's wars, about the reason humans desired friendship. Many of their questions carried hidden doubt, as if they expected him to fail. Tom listened carefully and answered each question with calm honesty. He told them that humans were not perfect, that they had made mistakes, but they always tried to rise again. He spoke about how humans once fought among themselves but learned to build together. He described the laughter of children, the beauty of art, the songs sung during storms. He said that humanity was not defined by power but by the ability to hope even when the stars seemed far away. The hall grew quiet. Even the translation devices seemed to pause. Tom did not realize it, but his words carried something few Arelian speakers ever used: emotion. His sincerity reached beyond language. At the high end of the hall sat Queen Lyrae, ruler of Arelon. She was tall and slender, her skin pale with a faint shimmer like moonlight. Her eyes were silver but deep, filled with thought. She wore a robe made of woven light that changed color as she moved. Lyrae had ruled for 200 years, yet she still looked young. The council feared her wisdom and admired her strength. As Tom finished his speech, Lyrae rose from her throne. Her voice was calm but carried authority that made the hall fall silent. "You speak with heart, human," she said. "Your people are known for conflict, yet your words carry peace. I wonder which face of humanity is true." Tom looked up at her and answered, "Both, Your Majesty. Humanity is made of both light and shadow. We are not perfect, but we keep walking toward the light. That is who we are." The queen studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled faintly, a gesture so small that only those nearest her could see it. "Very well," she said. "Let us see if your light can guide even an ancient race." The council murmured among themselves. Some were impressed. Others disapproved. But no one dared argue with the queen. After the meeting, Tom was escorted to his quarters within the palace. The room overlooked the glowing ocean, where crystal ships moved silently between floating towers. He should have felt relief, but his mind was restless. He wondered what the queen had meant. He had heard stories about Arelian rulers, wise, distant, and nearly emotionless. Yet her eyes had held something else, something human. Later that night, a soft chime sounded at his door. When he opened it, an attendant bowed and said, "The queen requests your presence in the crystal garden." Tom froze for a moment. It was unusual for a queen to call an ambassador so soon after arrival. He hesitated, then followed the attendant through long corridors that shimmered under gentle light. The crystal garden lay behind the palace, open to the night sky. The ground was made of transparent stone, and beneath it flowed rivers of glowing energy. Strange trees stood around them, their leaves like glass feathers, each one producing soft chimes when touched by the breeze. Queen Lyrae stood near a glowing fountain, her robe reflecting the twin moons above. She looked different here, less like a ruler and more like someone lost in thought. "Thank you for coming, Tom of Earth," she said. "I wish to speak without the weight of the council watching us." Tom bowed respectfully. "I am honored, Your Majesty." "I did not expect such kindness," she repeated softly. "No, I seek understanding. Your words today reached something within me. It has been long since I heard a voice that did not hide behind pride." Tom felt a strange warmth in his chest. "I only spoke what I know. My people have learned to survive through hope." The Queen nodded slowly. "Hope," she said. "That is a fragile thing, yet it endures. My people once had it long ago, but time and power have taken much from us." She reached toward a crystal flower beside her. When her fingers touched it, the petals opened and began to glow with shifting colors. Tom watched in awe. "That is beautiful." "It responds to emotion," Lyrae said. "It glows only when it senses truth. Most flowers here have remained dark for centuries, yet when you entered this garden they began to awaken." Tom did not know what to say. The Queen looked at him again, and for a moment there was no barrier between them. No crown, no titles, no species. Only two beings standing under the same sky. She smiled gently. "You have come from a young world, yet you carry the strength of old stars. Tell me, Tom of Earth, do your people still believe in dreams?" Tom thought of his home, the laughter of his sister, the songs played by workers under the red sky of Mars. "Yes, Your Majesty," he said softly. "We still dream, even when no one believes we should." The Queen turned her gaze to the horizon where the twin moons reflected over the sea. "Then perhaps your dreams may remind my people what we have forgotten." They stood in silence for a moment, the sound of the glowing leaves surrounding them like a gentle song. When Tom left the garden, his heart felt lighter but confused. The Queen of Airlon had shown him more warmth than any diplomat before. Her words echoed in his mind again and again. He could not tell if she saw him as a guest, a symbol of peace, or something else. Yet one thing was clear to him. The path before him was not only about treaties and politics anymore. Something deeper had begun that night in the Crystal Garden. Something that would test both human heart and alien soul. As he looked back one last time, he saw her still standing under the moonlight, her face calm but her eyes glowing faintly. He did not know then that this quiet meeting would become the first step toward changing the fate of two worlds forever. The morning sun rose over the shining towers of Airlon. From Tom's balcony, the city looked like a living jewel. He watched the reflection of sunlight scatter across floating bridges and moving airships. The beauty of this world still amazed him, but something else filled his thoughts. He could not stop thinking about the Queen. Her words from the night before kept returning to him. She had spoken of hope and forgotten dreams, and that had touched him deeply. Tom spent the morning meeting with Aurelian ministers and council members. Most of them were polite but distant. They viewed humans as a young race that had not yet earned full respect. Their speech was full of careful phrases, and their eyes rarely showed emotion. When Tom spoke of building friendship, some nodded, but others remained silent. He could sense that not all of them wanted peace. During the afternoon, he walked through the city with an Aurelian guide named Marin. Marin was younger than most of the council members, curious about human life. He asked Tom about food, music, and the color of Earth's oceans. In return, Tom asked about Airlon's floating cities. Marin explained that their energy came from crystals deep within the planet's core, connected to the life force of their world. As they walked past a market filled with glowing fabrics and small floating machines, Tom saw children playing near a fountain. They were laughing, their soft silver eyes full of joy. He smiled, realizing that even in an alien world, some things never changed. Marin noticed and said, "The young ones are free from duty. They remind us of what we once were." Later that evening, Tom received another message from the palace. The Queen invited him once again to the Crystal Garden. His heart beat faster, but he told himself it was only diplomacy. When he arrived, the sky had turned a deep blue and the twin moons were rising together. The garden was quiet except for the gentle hum of glowing flowers. Queen Lyrae stood near the fountain, her long robe shining like silver mist. She turned as Tom approached and smiled. "Welcome again, Tom of Earth," she said kindly. "I trust your day among my people was pleasant." "It was very enlightening, Your Majesty," he replied with respect. "Your people live with grace and beauty. It is something to admire." She walked slowly along a path lined with shining vines. "Beauty alone does not make peace," she said. "Grace fades when hearts grow cold. Tell me, do humans still struggle among themselves?" Tom sighed lightly. "Yes, Your Majesty. Even now, some fight out of fear or greed. But there are also those who fight for justice." "I believe every world has both." Lyrae nodded. "You speak truth. My own people have forgotten balance. We built cities among the stars and left behind what made us alive. Our minds are strong, but our hearts are silent." They reached a small hill where the wind made the crystal leaves sing softly. Lyrae sat on a curved stone bench, and Tom stood beside her. The view below them showed the shining sea and the distant towers. She turned her gaze toward him. "Tell me about your world," she said. "Not the wars or machines, but the part of it that lives in your memory." Tom thought for a moment. "I grew up on Mars," he said slowly. "The land was dry and red, but at night the sky was full of stars. My family grew food under glass domes. We used to sit outside and watch the dust storms pass. My mother told stories of old Earth, where there were oceans and green forests. My father said we humans carry Earth within us no matter where we go." Lyrae listened carefully. "Your words hold warmth," she said softly. "Perhaps that is why your people still survive. You carry your past with love, not regret." A breeze moved through the garden, making the flowers glow brighter. Tom noticed that whenever the queen spoke, the plants responded to her tone. It was as if the garden itself recognized her emotions. After a moment, Lyrae rose and picked a small crystal blossom. She held it gently in her hand and looked at him. "This flower blooms for connection," she said. "It senses harmony between souls. Once, when my ancestors met beings of light from another world, the gardens of Arelon glowed for 3 days. Since then, no visitor has awakened them again. Yet when you walked here last night, they shone once more." Tom looked at the glowing petals, unsure how to answer. "Perhaps they only felt peace," he said quietly. "Perhaps," she replied with a faint smile. "Or perhaps they felt something long forgotten." For a while they walked in silence through the soft light. Tom felt both calm and uneasy. He had spoken with many leaders before, but none like her. Lyrae did not hide behind ceremony or pride. There was depth in her eyes that made him feel seen. When they reached the fountain again, she asked, "Do you miss your home, Tom?" "I do," he said honestly. "But sometimes I think peace between worlds is worth the distance. My home will always be part of me." The queen nodded again. "You carry that strength well. It is rare to meet one who speaks from the heart and not from duty. Many of my own council have forgotten how to do that." Tom smiled slightly. "Maybe they just need time. Humans once forgot too, but we learned again. Sometimes loss teaches better than victory." Her eyes softened. "You remind me of someone," she said. "Long ago, when I was still young, I had a teacher. He told me that wisdom begins when one listens more than they speak. I have not met anyone with that same calm in a long time." Tom bowed his head slightly. "Then I am honored, Your Majesty." They spoke for a while longer about culture, art, and the meaning of leadership. Lyrae told him about Arelon's ancient temples that floated high above the sea, and how her people once believed that every soul was a light that returned to the stars after death. Tom listened with fascination. As the night deepened, the queen looked toward the horizon. "Soon the council will meet again," she said. "There are those among them who do not wish this peace to last. They fear change. They fear that if humans rise, we may fall." Tom frowned slightly. "Peace often frightens those who live by control, but I believe hearts can be changed even if it takes time." Lyrae turned to him, her silver eyes steady. "And what if they cannot be changed? What will you do if my council chooses to end this alliance?" Tom hesitated. "Then I will still speak for peace even if no one listens, because silence helps no one." The queen studied him for a long moment. Then she placed the glowing flower into his hand. "Keep this," she said. "Let it remind you that even silence can hold light." Tom closed his fingers around the fragile blossom. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will guard it." "You do not need to guard it," she said softly. "Only let it live." When the meeting ended, Lyrae walked back toward the palace, her robe shimmering with moonlight. Tom stood in the garden for a long time, staring at the flower. Its glow pulsed faintly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. He felt something stir inside him, a connection he could not name. As he returned to his quarters, he noticed how the city lights danced in the distance. Ships moved across the sky like silver birds. He thought about what the Queen had said about fear and change. He realized that she was not only speaking of her people, she was speaking of herself. That night, Tom could not rest. He placed the glowing flower on the table beside his bed. It filled the room with a soft light that made the shadows gentle. He wondered why the Queen trusted him so quickly, why she spoke with him in such an open way. Was it diplomacy or was it something more? He lay awake thinking about her words, her calm tone, her smile under the moonlight. For the first time since arriving, he felt that the mission was not only about peace between two worlds. It was also about understanding hearts across the stars. When dawn came, the flower was still glowing. Tom picked it up and looked at it closely. He whispered quietly to himself, "Hope can live anywhere." He did not know that far away in her chamber, Queen Lyrae was holding a similar flower that glowed in her hands as well. She looked out her window toward the sea and thought of the human who spoke with courage and kindness. The world of Arelon was changing, and so was she. The next morning brought a heavy stillness to the Aurelian capital. The air, usually filled with soft hums of floating transports, now carried a sharp tension. From his balcony, Tom could see more patrol ships moving in the sky. The people in the streets looked worried. Something had changed overnight. When Tom arrived at the palace meeting hall, he saw Queen Lyrae already seated with her council. The light from the ceiling crystals made her robe shimmer like water, but her expression was serious. The council members spoke in hushed tones and their voices carried worry. Marin, who now acted as Tom's aide, whispered to him, "There has been an attack, Ambassador. A trade vessel between Arelon and the human colonies was destroyed near the border. The rebels claim responsibility." Tom froze. "Rebels?" Marin nodded. "A group of Aurelians who believe peace with humans will weaken us. They call themselves the Sons of the Core. They say humans will bring corruption." Tom clenched his fists. He knew this would cause suspicion and anger. When the Queen noticed him, she raised her hand for silence. "Ambassador Tom of Earth," she said calmly, "we have received word that the rebel faction has attacked one of our own ships near the neutral zone. They claim it was retaliation for human intrusion. Some on this council now believe that humans cannot be trusted." All eyes turned toward Tom. He stood tall but felt the weight of their stares. "Your Majesty," he said, "I swear on my honor and my people that humanity had no part in this. We want peace, not bloodshed." An older council member rose from his seat. His name was Ryden, and his voice carried power. "Words are easy, human," he said sharply. "Your kind once fought each other for centuries. You speak of peace while your history is full of war. How can we believe you?" Tom met his gaze and replied steadily, "Because we learned from our pain. Every world has a past, Counselor. Ours taught us that peace is worth fighting for." The hall grew quiet. Some members nodded slightly, others looked away. Ryden sat down without another word, but his eyes showed doubt. The Queen stood and looked at them all. "Enough," she said. "We cannot allow fear to destroy what we have begun. The truth must be found before judgment is passed." She turned toward Tom. "I believe you, Ambassador. We will investigate this matter together." Her words caused murmurs in the hall. Some were shocked that she sided with a human. Others looked uneasy. Yet none dared to question her directly. After the meeting, Tom followed Lyrae into a private chamber filled with floating screens. Holographic maps displayed routes of trade ships and patrols. "The attack took place near the edge of the Halo Belt," she said, "a region filled with energy storms and asteroid fragments. Dangerous, but often used for secret travel." Tom studied the data. "The rebels wanted to make it look like humans attacked first. If they can cause distrust, the treaty will collapse before it begins." Lyrae nodded slowly. "You see clearly, Tom, they want chaos, not victory. They fear that if our races unite, their power will fade." Tom turned to her. "Then we cannot let them win. I will go to the border myself if needed. Humanity will cooperate fully with your investigators." Lyrae gave him a small, approving look. "Your courage is noted, Ambassador. But I will not risk your life. These rebels are ruthless, and they know our world better than any human." "I do not fear them," he said quietly. "If this peace is to mean anything, then I must stand for it." The Queen smiled faintly but shook her head. "You are too bold, Tom of Earth. Still, I admire your spirit. That night, news spread across the capital. Many Aurelians began to question the alliance. Some believed the rebels were right. Protests broke out in the lower cities where workers feared humans might take their jobs or their land. Tom watched the reports with concern. Humanity had waited years to be part of the Galactic Council. One misunderstanding could end everything. The next morning, Queen Lyrae called him to the observation deck overlooking the ocean. The waves below glowed softly with the light of the twin suns. She stood there, calm but thoughtful. "My people are divided," she said. "Some still stand with me, but others now see peace as weakness. They remember our old wars and fear we may repeat them." Tom stepped beside her. "Your people need to see what humanity truly is. Not warriors or conquerors, but builders and friends." Lyrae looked at him with quiet strength. "Then you must show them, Tom. Words alone will not heal this wound." Soon after, the Queen ordered a joint mission of Aurelian guards and human representatives to investigate the border attack. Tom joined them despite the risks. Their small ship flew through glowing clouds and narrow asteroid fields. The closer they came to the halo belt, the stronger the energy storms became. Lightning danced across the black sky. When they reached the wreck of the destroyed vessel, the sight was haunting. Fragments of crystal hull floated among burning debris. The symbol of the Aurelian crown was barely visible on the broken pieces. Tom felt anger rise in him. Whoever had done this wanted not just death but hatred. The sensors picked up strange energy signatures nearby. Marin, who was part of the crew, pointed to a cluster of asteroids. "There," he said. "Power readings. Someone is hiding in those rocks." Before they could act, a sudden blast hit the ship. The alarm screamed. Tom grabbed a rail as the ship spun. "Shields failing," Marin shouted. "We are under attack." Through the window, Tom saw dark ships emerging from the asteroids. Their design was Aurelian, but their colors were black and red, the mark of the rebels. They fired again, and the hull trembled. Lyrae's guards fought back with defense drones. Tom, though not a soldier, helped stabilize power systems. He refused to hide. The crew worked together, firing counterbeams to force the rebels away. After a tense battle, the enemy ships fled into the storm. When the silence returned, Tom saw Lyrae standing near the command screen. Her eyes were calm, but he could see the sadness within them. "My own people attacked us," she said quietly. "I hoped it would not come to this." Tom placed a hand over his heart. "Then we must make sure their hatred ends here. If we give up now, their cause will spread." The Queen nodded. "You speak with courage again, human. Perhaps your world has given you strength we have forgotten." They returned to the capital with proof that the attack was from the rebel group. The council gathered again, and the evidence was displayed for all to see. The rebels had used stolen human technology to fake a false attack. The hall filled with murmurs of shame and relief. Queen Lyrae rose and addressed them. "The truth is clear. Humanity is not our enemy. Fear was the weapon that blinded us. It is time we remember who we are." Raiden stood up again, his face uncertain. "Then what do you propose, my queen?" She looked toward Tom. "We move forward. The treaty shall be signed in 3 days as planned, and we will do so not out of fear but out of faith." Tom felt a wave of pride. He bowed slightly to her in gratitude. The hall echoed with mixed voices, but the Queen's decision was final. After the meeting, Tom met her again in the crystal garden. The sky was filled with gentle light and the flowers glowed softly. "You have risked much for my people, Tom," she said. "Even when they doubted you, you stood firm. I will not forget that." He looked at her with quiet respect. "You gave me your trust, Your Majesty. I could not fail that." She smiled, a real and gentle smile. "You speak as if duty and heart are the same thing." "Maybe they are," he said. "When the heart believes, duty becomes easy." For a moment they stood together without speaking. The wind passed through the garden carrying the song of the crystals. Something deeper than alliance seemed to grow between them, something that neither of them could name yet. The stars above shone brighter that night. Both knew the danger was not over, but in that quiet moment hope returned. The bond between the human and the Queen of Arelon had already begun to shape the future of two worlds. The morning air over the Aurelian capital was thick with tension. Reports had come from the outer sectors that the rebel group, the Sons of the Core, had gathered an army. It was not just a small strike team anymore. They had assembled hundreds of ships, drones, and mercenaries. Their goal was clear: destroy the peace treaty and challenge the authority of Queen Lyrae. Tom stood in the command chamber beside the Queen, holographic maps displayed, the rebel fleet advancing through the halo belt. The council members were tense, some pacing, some frozen in shock. The rebels plan to strike the capital directly, Lyrae said calmly. If they succeed, the treaty is lost and many will die. We cannot allow it, Tom nodded. Then we fight together. Humans will help. I will not stand aside while innocent lives are in danger. The Queen regarded him with a faint smile. You are brave, human. Your courage inspires not only me but those who follow you. We will need it today. The capital prepared for the attack. Defense drones rose from the crystal towers and filled the sky like a silver swarm. Energy barriers hummed as they extended over the city, ready to block incoming attacks. Citizens were guided to safe zones while soldiers readied their weapons. Tom moved through the hallways, assisting where he could, calming those who were afraid, and offering guidance to human representatives who had come to help. As the rebel fleet approached, the sky turned a fiery color from the energy beams being fired in defense. Explosions lit up the floating city, but the defenses held strong. Lyrae commanded her forces with precision, her voice clear over the communication channels. Tom, though not a trained soldier, coordinated human engineers to support the drones, redirecting energy to weak points and ensuring the city's systems remained stable. Suddenly, a wave of smaller rebel ships broke through the outer defense. They moved quickly, targeting civilian areas. Tom saw a blast heading toward a transport carrying dozens of families. Without thinking, he ran forward, guiding the transport to safety. The explosion occurred nearby, shaking the ground, but everyone inside the transport survived. Lyrae watched the scene from the command balcony. Tom, she called. You cannot protect everyone by yourself. He looked at her, his expression determined. I will do what I can, Your Majesty. I cannot ignore them. The rebels intensified their attack, aiming directly at the palace. The floating towers trembled under the energy strikes. Lyrae gave orders to the guards, sending squads to intercept the attackers. Tom worked alongside them, moving quickly from console to console, rerouting power to shields and activating countermeasures. A massive blast shook the throne room. Tom and Lyrae were thrown off their feet as debris scattered around them. Sparks flew from broken control panels and dust filled the air. The Queen rose quickly, her eyes steady despite the chaos. Stay close, she shouted. We must protect the heart of the city. Tom grabbed her hand and helped her to safety as another strike hit the nearby tower. He realized then that the rebels were not just fighting for destruction, they wanted to break the will of the people. As they reached a secure chamber, Tom saw the Queen glance at him. This is the moment of choice, Tom, she said. Do we let fear control us or do we rise above it? He nodded. We rise. That is why I am here. Together they coordinated a counterattack. Human engineers and Aurelian soldiers worked side by side, using energy pulses to disable enemy ships. The tide began to turn. One by one, the rebels were pushed back into the asteroid fields. Then a massive energy strike approached the palace. Tom saw it first. A large drone loaded with explosives heading toward the throne room. He ran forward, calculating the trajectory, and managed to intercept it using a control panel to redirect the energy beam. The explosion occurred nearby, shaking the structure, but both he and the Queen were unharmed. The palace guards cheered, inspired by the human who had risked his life. Lyrae's own forces, seeing his bravery, fought with renewed energy. Together, they pushed the rebels entirely out of the city and into the Halo Belt. After the battle, Tom and Lyrae stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Smoke rose from parts of the capital, but the majority of the city was safe. Citizens came out of hiding, cheering for their queen and the human ambassador who had helped defend them. You have done more than I imagined, Tom, Lyrae said quietly, her eyes shining. You fought not for glory but for life itself. That is a lesson my people will remember. Tom bowed slightly. I did what anyone would do to save innocent lives. The courage was in everyone who helped. She turned to him, her smile soft but full of admiration. Perhaps, but it takes more than skill to inspire loyalty. It takes heart. You have shown both. The city began to recover. Engineers repaired damaged towers, and citizens returned to their homes. Tom walked through the streets with Lyrae, seeing the people's gratitude firsthand. Children waved at him and adults offered words of thanks. The bond between humans and Aurelians grew stronger with every act of kindness and bravery. That night, after the city had quieted, Tom returned to the crystal garden. Lyrae met him there, her silver eyes reflecting the soft glow of the flowers. "You were reckless today," she said with a gentle smile, "yet you saved many lives." "I wonder if humans are always so daring," Tom laughed softly. "Sometimes we have no choice. Courage comes from caring, not from training or titles." She nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "You remind me that strength is not always measured in power or weapons. It can be measured in the will to act, even when the odds are against you." For a long time they walked together in silence. The soft hum of the glowing plants surrounded them, and the twin moons reflected on the ocean below. Tom realized that despite the battle, despite the fear and destruction, there was a calm here that he had never experienced on any human world. "You have changed my people," Lyrae said finally, not through words but through example. "They saw your actions and they understood something long forgotten." Tom looked at her. "You gave me the chance to act. Without your trust, I could not have done anything." The Queen smiled faintly. "Perhaps we have changed each other, Tom. Perhaps that is what peace requires, trust between hearts, not just agreements on paper." The city lights flickered below, and for the first time since he arrived, Tom felt that the future was not uncertain. It was bright, filled with possibility. He realized that the bond he shared with the Queen was not just political. It was deeper, built on respect, courage, and understanding. As they left the garden, Tom felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he had known. He had come to Arelon as a human ambassador, a representative of a young species. Now he was part of something larger, the living connection between two worlds, and the hope that they could truly unite for a better future. Even as the stars shone above, Tom and Lyrae knew that their work was not done. Challenges would continue to come, and peace would always require effort. But for now the battle had been won, and the bond of trust had been forged in fire. As they returned to the palace, Tom glanced at the glowing flowers of the crystal garden one last time. He thought of the future, of the treaty that would soon be signed, and of the quiet strength that the Queen had shown him. He realized that this journey had changed him, not just as a human, but as someone who believed that courage and heart could overcome even the greatest challenges. The night was calm, and the city began to shine again. In the quiet after the storm, a human and an alien queen walked side by side, both knowing that their alliance was more than politics. It was a promise to their people and to each other that even in the darkness light could be found. The morning of the treaty ceremony arrived with bright sunlight reflecting on the floating towers of Arelon. Citizens and diplomats gathered in the central plaza. Humans and Aurelians stood side by side, a symbol of hope and unity. Flags of both worlds waved in the gentle breeze. Tom stood at the front, dressed in formal attire, his heart beating faster than usual. The treaty would officially mark the first lasting alliance between Earth and Arelon. Queen Lyrae appeared at the top of the grand staircase, her robe shimmering with colors that seemed to move like liquid light. She was calm, as always, yet there was a warmth in her expression reserved only for this moment. Her silver eyes scanned the crowd and finally rested on Tom. He returned her gaze, his chest swelling with pride and respect. The council members took their positions, and the crowd grew silent. The ceremony began with speeches, praising the courage of those who had defended the city and acknowledging the efforts of humans in building trust. When the speeches ended, Lyrae stepped forward to address the assembly. "My people," she said, her voice carrying across the plaza, "today marks a new chapter in our history. Fear has tested us and courage has guided us. Humanity has shown that heart and honor can shape the future. Together we will grow stronger and we will protect what is right." The crowd erupted in applause, and Tom felt a hand lightly touch his shoulder. He turned to see Lyrae beside him. Her eyes were gentle and her smile was soft. "Ambassador Tom," she said quietly, "you have not only fought for my people but have also inspired hope. Today we stand united, not as separate races but as friends and allies. Yet there is something I wish to ask you beyond the ceremony." Tom felt his pulse quicken. "Your Majesty?" he asked, unsure of what she meant. She extended her hand slightly, a gesture that carried meaning beyond words. "Tom of Earth, your courage and your heart have earned not only my respect but also my trust. Will you stay beside me, not only as an ambassador but as someone who walks with me in building a new future?" The plaza fell silent. Even the council members froze, uncertain how to respond. Tom realized that this was more than an offer of alliance or friendship. Her words carried a weight that surpassed politics. It was a personal invitation, a bond that crossed worlds. He took a deep breath. His mind raced, recalling the nights in the Crystal Garden, the battles they had fought together, and the quiet moments when their hearts had spoken without words. He looked into her eyes and saw not just a queen, but a being who understood hope, courage, and loyalty. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "if that is what you wish, then I will stay. I will walk beside you and help build the future you imagine. I will do everything in my power to honor your trust and our people." Lyrae's smile widened, her eyes reflecting the light of the twin moons that were always present in Arelon's sky. "Then yes," she said, her voice carrying both strength and warmth. "Then yes, I do." A cheer erupted from the plaza, louder than any speech or applause before. Citizens and council members alike celebrated the unity of two worlds and the bond between a human and their queen. Tom felt a mix of relief, joy, and awe. The weight of responsibility remained, but now it was shared with someone who trusted him completely. The ceremony continued with the signing of the treaty. Lyrae and Tom, side by side, placed their hands on the ancient crystal that represented the promise between their worlds. Light spread from the crystal, filling the plaza and reflecting across the floating towers. The energy seemed to carry the hope of both species, a promise that peace was possible even among the stars. After the signing, Tom and Lyrae walked through the plaza together. People approached them to express gratitude, offering small gifts of flowers and glowing crystals. Children ran alongside them, laughing and waving. For the first time, Tom felt fully at home on an alien world. Marin, the young aide who had guided him since his arrival, approached. "You did it, Ambassador. Peace is real. And the Queen? She chose you for more than diplomacy. She sees what we often forget: courage, kindness, and heart." Tom nodded, holding the glowing flower from the crystal garden in his hand. "It was never just me. Everyone who fought with us, everyone who believed in peace made this possible." Lyrae joined them, her hand resting lightly on Tom's shoulder. "Tomorrow we begin the real work. Building trust is not finished with words or ceremonies. It is built through action, through care, and through perseverance. But today we celebrate. Today we honor courage and hope." As the sun began to set, Tom and Lyrae returned to the crystal garden. The flowers glowed softly in the fading light, their colors shifting with each movement. The wind carried a gentle hum, a melody of life and renewal. "You have changed this world, Tom," Lyrae said quietly, standing beside him, "and in doing so, you have changed me." Tom looked at her, understanding the depth of her words. "And you have changed me, Your Majesty. You have shown me that even the greatest power in the galaxy cannot match the strength of trust and heart." For a long time, they walked together through the glowing paths. The battle was over, the treaty signed, and the city safe. Yet the true journey, the work of building unity, understanding, and hope, was just beginning. Finally, they reached the fountain at the center of the garden. Lyrae held out a small crystal blossom to Tom, similar to the one he had received on his first night. Its light pulsed softly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. "This is for you," she said, a reminder that light can grow even in the darkest times. That hope can live anywhere, as long as hearts remain open. Tom took the blossom and held it carefully. "I will treasure it, Your Majesty, as I treasure the trust you have given me and the bond we now share." Lyrae smiled, her silver eyes reflecting the colors of the flower. "Then we begin together, Tom, not as human and alien, not as ambassador and queen, but as partners in shaping a future where courage and hope guide us." The twin moons rose fully over the ocean, their reflections dancing across the glowing water. Tom realized that he had come far from the red deserts of Mars, from the small human colonies, and from a life he thought would be ordinary. Here on Arelon he had found purpose, friendship, and something deeper that he could not yet name. As night fell, the city lights flickered on, mirroring the stars above. Humans and Aurelians alike looked toward the horizon, knowing that this day marked the beginning of something greater. The future of two worlds now rested in the hands of those willing to act with courage, honor, and heart. Tom and Lyrae remained in the crystal garden long after the crowds had left. The air was filled with the soft hum of glowing flowers, and the night sky sparkled with distant stars. They stood together in silence, understanding without words that their bond had become a bridge between worlds. Finally, Tom spoke softly. Was this more than a treaty? Lyra turned to him, her gaze steady and warm. Yes, Tom, it is more than treaties, more than agreements. It is a promise that even the smallest heart can carry great light, and that even the oldest queen can find trust and hope in a human soul. Tom smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known before. Then I accept that promise, Your Majesty, and I will honor it always. Lyra's smile grew, her silver eyes shining like the twin moons. Then yes, I do, she said once more, her words carrying strength, care, and a quiet joy that reached every corner of the garden. The city slept peacefully that night. The battle was over. The treaty was signed. But more importantly, two hearts from two worlds had found a connection that would guide the future. Humanity had proven its courage, and the Queen of Arelon had chosen trust over fear. Together, they had shown that even among the stars, hope could shine brighter than any weapon or technology. The journey was far from over, but in that quiet moment, Tom and Lyra knew that the greatest power in the galaxy was not strength, but heart. And with that understanding, the new age of peace began, built on courage, trust, and the bond between a human and a queen.